I gotta breathe, 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 breathe. Hey, Hey, want the reason why the game, I'm the student of it. Cause I'm stupid honest with myself and my whole conglomerate. Let me breathe, 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 yeah.
My name is Tehn. It means be grateful, be thankful. My parents gave me that, and now I realize why.
Make some love one time, show some love one time for my man, Mr. Tehn Diamond. You go home, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I tell you what I saw, something I might have heard. Don't wanna commit.
For Tehn Diamond, it's a tenet by which he has lived his life, and it's one that has brought him international recognition. Having performed at top hip-hop clubs on the Australian scene and Singapore in Southeast Asia, Tehn is now back in his home country, Zimbabwe, to replicate that success he had tested abroad.
It probably started when I was about 3, 4, 5, 6. I used to watch a lot of music videos and that. I was a big George Michael fan. My favorite song was the one with Aretha Franklin, Knew You Were Waiting, stuff like that. First time I ever sang on stage was in grade 1 for the Eisteddfod. We did, what was it? Jackson 5's Rockin' Robin. I was really big into acting, so it was more, my journey with music started with my journey of just performing. I love drama and stuff like that. I love to perform. We put together shows with my brothers and sisters and perform for the family and stuff like that. I had a big obsession with like stars and astrology and stuff like that. In fact, before wanting to be a musician or performer, I wanted to be an astrologer. So I used to come home from school, lie down, and like
what the vibe it is. He jumps on it, and he murders, no doubt.
Tehn Diamond to me is still like my younger brother. I went to school with my younger brother. I've known him most of my life. He's a very talented guy who's got a dream that's he can see.
Firstly, I think he's really talented. You know, he's got a lot of drive, he's got a lot of focus, he believes in himself. Hard-headed to the most part, but I think it's good for his music. It gives him direction, it gives him passion, and he believes in himself.
Tehn is a very energetic and enterprising young man. I first came across him last year when the youth magazine, definitely Zimbabwean, was launching here. And he was one of the performers, and he had a lot of energy and a lot of stage presence, and the quality of his music was better than a lot of what I'd seen. A lot of people say they can rap or do hip-hop or whatever the case may be, but a lot of them don't have talent, and I suppose it's about applying yourself to your art, and you could see that from him.
He's a passionate person, very emotional guy, but very switched on and very talented at what he does, and also just very creative. He's very good at coming up with ideas.
I think he's one of the more serious, more professional young artists that I've seen in recent times.
We are going to Zion Recording Studios, home of Take 5.
We out in Zion. According to K-Dagon, clear for takeoff.
Welcome to Zion.
That's like a 2.5 with the lead. My name is Tehn Diamond, go there finesse.
Came into the studio like he owned the place. He took off his shoes. Yeah, I remember that day. He took off his shoes and was like, yeah, this guy belongs inside. You know, and it took like a whole month before he actually got into the studio. He'd just come hang out, you know, have a couple of drinks, listen to music and all that. But he never did get into the studio until like a month later, you know. That's when we got into the studio. And since then, we can't get out.
And someone gave me one of his mixtapes, and I was impressed, and so we got each other's numbers. When he came back, he called me. Then he came through to visit. I think the first day we met, because I already knew he was a good artist, I'd already asked him to put a verse, no, it was a chorus on one of my songs.
I was living in Pakistan for 2 years, in about 2008, 2009, and I got hold of his CD somehow. I don't remember. I downloaded it somewhere and started listening to it. And being away from Zim for at that time was close to 10 years. I really felt a connection with home, because he is obviously from Zimbabwe. But yeah, then I emailed him, got in touch with him, told him that I respected what he was doing and I was enjoying it, and if there was any way that I could help, I'd be more than interested to listen to what he has to say. And yeah, it just went from there. We came back in 2010, I think it was, and linked up, and yeah, the rest is history.
Make money like a man, spend like a woman, take it to the bank just to take it out again, cause I'm a grown-up kid, I'm a grown-up kid. I never go where I'm needed, and by needed I mean go where the green is, so believe it, I don't ever wanna be broke, that ain't no secret, seen it, I ain't feeling it, fuck it, I need the greenery, feeding me, feeding mama, feeding all of my brothers and sisters, yeah, I mean it, I ain't even gonna try to resist it, what I'm saying is I'm sick of a system that assumes that I gotta get a job to get rich, I know that I only need a talent and passion to balance out the fact that I'm currently acting like a prepubescent, still in grade 7, when really I'm just willing to still chase heaven.
It would seem Tehn was born to succeed. His amazing lyrical dexterity, alluring beats, and stunning performances may well have something to do with the success he's beginning to enjoy now. But it also took a lot of hard work and a solid belief, a firm conviction in that belief.
I was studying finance. Plan was to do that first, get a good foundation behind me, and then, you know, go into performing arts or music and whatever I wanted to do. But then, as I spent more time there, I didn't really have a lot of friends who were in my faculty or doing what I was meant to be studying. I ended up hanging out with a lot of the musos and the arty types, and it got to a point where I was spending more time in the studio than I was in class, and then at a certain point I just said I might as well just drop it and commit myself to this fully, so I did.
It's the student of the game. This one here is for my university students who enroll in subjects, but they don't want to do it. They just. This one here is for my university students who enroll in subjects, but they don't want to do it.
Well, I came back home. My dad's over here. My mom lives in the UK. I think they were both just genuinely scared. I mean, I'm the firstborn in my family. It's an African family, and education is very important. So when I came back without my degree and this whole music thing, it was scary for them. I think it still kind of is. As much as things are picking up and getting there, they were just genuinely scared, and they both reacted in their own ways. But I mean, yeah, like I said, I almost feel like I don't have a choice. I'm on this path, and it's something that speaks to me very deeply, and I just have to keep pushing until I get to where I know I can get to.
It's finally here. 2007. Tehn Diamond. Down next on the beat. Let's go. They like Tehn while you bragging on these tracks. You ain't handling the cash yet. I got a bright future, so I guess I gotta practice.
Zimbabwean music on a whole has a long way to go. But I think that comes from the fact that the generation before us, or maybe I'm part of the generation before, but we don't pay a lot of attention to music. We don't invest a lot in it. Unlike, per se, South Africa, who invest a lot of music and material and time into their artists, we don't. We have more talented people than most Southern African places I've seen or been to. Unfortunately, the people that have the money don't believe that music is a money-making thing. And I think until we get to a point where the people with the money actually start putting money into it, it's always going to be a struggle for the artists. But in terms of talent, Zimbabwe is in the top for me.
There's a lot of talent, but it's the time that people need to give to it as well. And the fact that there's no setup to support up-and-coming artists, it doesn't help either. So the talent, I'm sure, is there, but it hasn't been tapped into at all, I don't think. Yeah, and just generally people not wanting to support fellow Zimbabwean. I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of haters, as you want to call them. But yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, people's closed-mindedness, I guess.
It needs a lot. It needs a lot of money. It needs a lot of support, sponsorship, and all that. Like, not too many people take hip hop seriously. I don't think they understand the power, you know, hip hop has. You know, they underestimate it, especially in Zimbabwe. And I'll say this, nobody in Africa got hip hop like Zimbabwe.
I'm talking to this broad like you looking familiar. She's noticing the boy dressed fresh to death. White G-Shocks gleaming, so I know she's impressed. She leaned in for a second, muttered under her breath. But I couldn't hear dick, I was stuck on her breath. They got her talking about the VIP.
Against the odds, Tehn's dream was strong and vivid. His inspiration for music springs from his deep and abiding love for Africa, particularly Zimbabwe. The musings on life, dreams, family, love, and humanity.
Started like any summer love, I thought I wanted what I found in you.
You know, you got a lot of people who've been influenced by American hip hop, such that they lose essence of all, like in their rhymes, their punchlines and stuff like that. You know, people will be like, whatever, I'm blowing up like it's the 4th of July. But the 4th of July doesn't really apply to us as Zimbabweans. It applies more to Americans and stuff. But, you know, just basically lots of stuff like that. But what, you know, Tehn started trying to do is incorporate more and more Zimbabwean into that. And you'll see, like, on the next mixtape, where he has the song Happy, and the hook is predominantly Shona, I think, except for the word happy. And but also just the issues he talks about, you know, mothers in UK caring for geriatrics, all that kind of stuff. It's music written from a Zimbabwean perspective, although it may not sound Zimbabwean as such, but it is Zimbabwean music.
No doubt, most definitely. He's an H-Town boy, and I think he's managed to, you know, bridge the divide between local and international. You know, because I've seen a lot of different people, different races, you know, feel his music and actually relate to it. So yeah, I think he's there. Actually, I know he's there.
From what I've seen of him, he's a very hardworking, you know, an endearing quality of a person, and he seems to, I mean, he does his music, but he also runs a business, and he has this balance for a young man who to have his head screwed on right and being able to do that. I was really impressed with that, so we asked him at the end of last year to be a youth ambassador for the Art of Being Humane for 2012-13, and to be able to then share that with young people in Zimbabwe. Because of the situation here, you don't have to sacrifice your dreams, but if you're focused and you stay online, you could actually do both, and he does that really well. So we're hoping that he'll be able to be that example for a lot of young people.
He is passionate about the music. For him, you can tell it's not about the money or yes, I'm sure he's hoping that one day he'll make a lot of money, but he realizes that he's got a talent and he wants to share the music with the people. So for instance, right now, he's giving away as many of his CDs as possible, because what he believes is if people know the music, one day they'll buy it. When he's got a show, they'll come and they'll attend the show.
Check, just one of the nights. See, here's the thing about life, it only comes and it goes. So try to live it and love it until it comes to a close. We're hoping and praying to end up where we're supposed to. A few of us will, but sorry, most of us won't, bruh. Fucking I'm filling mine with flutes of champagne. Cutest the cuties with booties bigger than airplanes. I really don't need it, but I'm in a good space. Feeling me meandering through this world with a wide grin. Mind of an old king, full of a sinner that might win. So please, Lord, forgive. I'm celebrating and sin. What to drink? How about juice and gin? So by the end of the night, there's none looser than 10. Trying to dance with him is really a good choice. Really a good choice. It's usually good time. So